Vision India Forum, Road to 2047 series. Welcome Pallab Bhattacharya ji once again, our avid veteran, former ADG Assam and chairman of the Assam Public Service Commission. Somebody with 40 years of experience in the public service domain. Unsolved murder mysteries is what we're going to talk about today. You know, unsolved murder mysteries, when I say that, it also basically means the unsolved cases of sudden demise of high-profile celebrities and individuals, which the country, the entire, dispensation owes an explanation to the entire country about what happened and where did this, investigations finally land up, and apparent issues to the, which probably question the intelligence of the common man. Those apparent issues, allaying fears of some kind of, foul play. Those things are issues which we'll touch upon in brief today, because most of the, big names or the big fish or the big players have opted to stay away from such a controversial issue, notwithstanding their personal engagement, involvement, or interest, or vested interest, if I may say so, if any, in any manner whatsoever, assumedly. So at the present, Pallab Bhattacharya, you've been in the police department since 1986. You're an IPS officer, 1986 batch. So almost 35, 40 years of wonderful services in the IPS domain. You know the system by the back of your hand. Take us through what is this, enigma around unsolved cases, or cases which are closed, as a suicide, or probably who are lying as suicidal cases, but with no conclusivity behind them. Still question marks looming large. Names a galore aplenty. Shastriji, Homi Bhabha, Vikram Sarabhai, you name it. I mean, and the list is long. Sunanda Pushkar, Sheena Bora, Arushi, the little kid Pradyumna from Ryan International School, and then Sushant Singh Rajput, the charismatic young boy from Bihar, who was a brilliant student, All India 7th rank holder in the entrances of engineering, and then making it big in the Bollywood in a very incredible short span of time. Lockdown days, wake up suddenly, we see his body being carried away by the police people. And in hours time, suicidal statement is, a statement of suicide is basically issued by the Maharashtra police police department. So, Pallab Bhattacharya ji, over to you, sir. Unsolved mysteries, India's abracadabra, the magical wand of the, political, judicial, and the, what do you call, the law and order machinery of this country, which makes us feel that we indeed are back to magical days, as we had been for centuries before the Mughal invaded us.
Yes, actually, yeah, I have gone through all the cases which we are talking about, but there are so many angles into each of these cases. Actually, for that, for a policeman or a person from CBI, suppose, there are so many things actually which we require from the public also, certain points. First, I want to point out certain things. Whenever we investigate a case and it is taken to trial, actually at that stage, the evidence which we collect, that should be admissible. That means it should be as per the Indian Evidence Act. For instance, if somebody commits a crime and he tells before the investigating officer that I have committed the crime to the police, actually that statement is not admissible. So there are so many intricacies in collection of evidence. That is a very important thing. And secondly, most of these cases which we have referred to, initially these are done by the local police. Local police took some time, say 1 month or so, and after that it is handed over to other specialized agencies like CBI. So during this period, a lot of things have been lost. So whenever there is a very sensational case, CBI cannot take suo motu case like that. Actually, that will have to be handed over by the state police. So the initial, 24 hours of the incident is very, very crucial. At that time, collection of the material evidence, examination of witness, post-mortem examination, if there is one, then forensic evidence, all those things should be taken into account. So usually, most of these cases, they get lost in the court of justice because of inadequate evidence, because in our legal system, there is a provision that a guilty person may go unpunished, but an innocent should never be punished. Actually, that is our main motto. So because of these things, actually, certain things have happened. I will point out some other things also. Secondly, is the early reporting and late handing over of the case to the CBI that I have already told you. Then preservation of the scene of crime, that is also a very important factor. And if the case is very sensational, at that time itself, actually, some CBI people, unofficially, I think they should be allowed to visit the place also so that they can be acquainted. If the state government finally decides to hand over the case, then very important evidence will not be lost. So that is one point. Then forensic evidence, collection of forensic evidence. Forensic evidence is the most important thing. Nowadays, actually, the days of interrogating an accused by using third-degree method, this scene has gone. Actually, now we will have to depend on scientific evidence collection, proper forensic evidence, all those things actually. That trust is not there in some of the states. Then availability of primary witnesses. In the case of Prashant Singh Rajput's case, actually, there was no such witness, actually. Who has seen the crime, actually, that is there. Because he was suffering from depression. There are so many things. He was suffering from depressions also, which has come out later in course of investigation. So all those things will have to be taken into account before we come to a conclusion. Then there is another important thing, like Prashant Singh Rajput's case, where there was no evidence, but there are circumstantial evidence we can
Sushant Singh Rajput.
Sorry, Sushant Singh Rajput. Sushant Singh Rajput's case, actually, some circumstantial evidences were found because two of his friends who were living with him, they were later contacted. Actually, basically, all those were people who are very close to him. Then there are so many things there. A case has been registered against Riya Chakraborty also. CBI has taken up a case against Riya Chakraborty, who is supposedly in close touch with him. And when Sushant Singh, actually, he was doing acting in TV. At that time, actually, he has got some soft corner with a lady there. So that is also another thing. And that lady has reportedly committed suicide subsequently. And this has also given a shock to him. So all those things are there. So in order to arrive at a conclusion, actually, the investigating agency will have to, sift all these, what I can say, all these things, and evidence will be collected. Then in many cases, political influence is also another factor. Even in case of Sushant Singh Rajput also, some political influence was there because some political parties, they were passing on certain judgments. Actually, that is also another thing. And the most important thing I personally feel as a policeman, which we are facing problem with, is the media trials. actually the media goes as if they have already arrived at a conclusion. And this has put a lot of pressure on the investigating agency to arrive at certain conclusion, which may not be true also. So this media trial is another important thing, which I think our investigating agencies are facing a lot of problems. And the last but not the least is, whenever a judgment is passed in a particular case which has failed, suppose, that judgment is usually sent to the police headquarters. So all those failed judgments, actually, I mean, I'm talking about those cases where police could not establish the guiltiness of the accused. All those cases where police went wrong, actually, that those are described in the judgments. Actually, this should be the duty of every police department of all the states to collect those judgments, and we should learn lessons from these failed cases. And I personally feel that if we take all these things into account, then our conviction rate will substantially increase. This is what I want to say in this regard.
Pallabji, what is the way in which this, evidence issue or the kind of some kind of fiddling with the evidence issue, or maligning the entire evidence, or probably disturbing the entire scene of crime, how can this particular issue be tackled in such criminal acts? Because if this is something which we have to live with, then I mean, is there no concrete way in which, is there no other parallel system through which this particular issue could be handled? Because then every time there is a high-profile issue, money is at play, political pressure is at play, nepotism is at play, muscle flexing is there. I'm not going to be harping around Sushant. Sushant is definitely very fresh in the memory, but Sunanda Pushkar also. I mean, most of the cases, the evidence kind of, complete mismanagement of the evidence or malified handling of the evidence could lead to, or inappropriate or incompetent handling of the evidence could lead to complete washout, and then nothing comes out. I mean, we'll talk about issues which are very primarily evident. But in the case of Sushant, you said Sushant was depressed. I mean, a depressed guy of such level, you think he is somebody who would be playing an MS Dhoni in a movie as a superstar?
No, it is that is the. I mean, you are trying to put certain things into my mouth. Actually, what I want to say, I was going through this case file because I was not privy to the evidence collected. What I have been doing, actually, I was just going through his entire case file in the sense that it is available in the media. Actually, this is an open source. So there I have found there are so many things that he was suffering from. Actually, that is why I have this particular thing was told. And even the Mumbai police, actually, they have told that he has died because of this thing, depression, or it is a case of suicide. Sorry, it is a case of suicide. That is
Sir,
what
all these are reports which we are questioning. Actually, so there's no point in going into those reports. I am trying to understand from you, if at all you have some idea, because you probably did not have a stint with the CBI or with who are
Yes.
the other agencies, sir, who would be looking into such cases apart from
No,
CBI?
actually, it is usually the CBI. CBI usually these regular crimes, these are handled by CBI. If it is an extremist case, in that case, NIA comes in, actually, National Investigating Agency. But CBI is the main, main agency who does this sort of investigation. And you see, even in case of CBI also, I personally feel that if you visit the CBI website, you will not find the failed cases. I'm talking about the failed cases. Actually, there is nothing in the CBI website. Personally, I have a feeling that we should be very transparent in our dealings so that these sort of things like what has happened to this particular case, these sort of things does not come in future. CBI website may perhaps they can display certain things why these cases failed, or from their internal side also they might be deliberating among themselves how in future we should improve upon that. Actually, the only thing I personally feel is that when a sensational crime takes place, it is the responsibility of the district SP or the CP, if it is a commissioner of police, it is his responsibility to ensure that proper investigation takes place. And if a case fails, in spite of having so many evidence, in that case, actually, I personally feel the investigating officer or his senior bosses who supervise the case, they should be brought to task. Then only these things will improve. Otherwise, we will go on facing such failure in days to come.
So, are there precedents of any precedents that come to your mind with respect to such, kind of responsibility being, somebody who was handled an investigation with kind of retrospective effect? Has there any such incident that comes to your mind been there, where the police personnel or the investigating authorities, agencies have been brought to book by the
Yes.
higher authorities?
Actually, this I have come across only in Assam because I was in Assam most of the time, and my cadre is Assam Meghalaya, so I was attached to Assam. There is a district called Mangoldoi district, where one inspector, officer in charge of a police station was arrested. When subsequently it is found that he was involved in hushing up the crime. So these sort of incidents take place in almost all the districts. Very recently, one incident has taken place in Assam of Nagaon district, where one sub-inspector, a lady sub-inspector, was killed. And this has got a lot of media coverage also in the last week, a couple of weeks or so. So if the higher ups in the police department, or say the investigating officer in charge of the police station, district SPs, they are very serious. Actually, I personally feel that we can improve the situation.
The role of forensics after such issues take place and considerable time has elapsed, and there are, formidable questions, or there are very, very large questions that loom over the intention of the primary investigating authorities. Then what is the role of forensics, in these kind of cases, and what are the other tools available for the CBI and the higher ups? And first of all, let me know what are the kind of tools that are available with people like the CBI. I mean, or is the CBI the last word in this kind of situations, or is there any other way apart from the CBI? Because the CBI could also, there have been questions on the CBI also of late, and nobody is a holy cow. Everybody comes into the loop of the entire ecosystem, which can influence, especially when it comes to cases which are very high profile. And in such cases, apart from CBI or above the CBI or parallelly to the CBI, do we have any agencies which can be looked at?
So I personally feel that CBI is a very efficient agency, and it is not that they, if you see their performance, actually, performance appraisal, if you made it, it is much better than the state police actually, because the number of cases which they take, they are relatively small in comparison to the state police. Secondly, at every stage of investigation, there are legal authorities who support them how to collect the evidence. Actually, that is also, they have got a very good system prevailing there. I personally feel that CBI is the best agency to handle such cases, but there might be failures in one or two, but you cannot say that the whole organization is worthless for that. Secondly, you must keep in mind that you will get an agency, the society which you deserve. Actually, the society from which we belong to, actually, we can get a investigation team of that caliber, actually, of that society. So if the society is bad, actually, then your investigating officer will also be bad, actually. You deserve police who belongs to the society. They also are a part of the society. So basically, I personally feel that CBI is a very proficient agency and they will be able to do justice. But only thing is that the certain 7-8 points which I have pointed out, like if a sensational case takes place in a particular state, and if it is very sensational, in that case, I personally feel that CBI should be involved right from the beginning. Though there is no written down instructions regarding that, I think so that in future, if the state government decides to hand over the case to CBI, so right from the beginning, they are involved with the case. So that is one system which they can do. And regarding the media trials also, that has also become very nowadays very, media trials, then social media trials. Actually, all those things are keep making a lot of problem here. So long as you cannot divest these agencies from political influence, if they should be made perfectly independent, then in that case, I personally feel that these things will, and there should be proper training of the officers also. That is also very important, because from time to time, you will get so many things. So timely training of the new concepts which are coming in forensic evidence, all those should be there with the officers. So if all these things are taken care of, I personally feel that CBI can do a very good job in future.
So one suggestion is CBI getting into the groove right from the starting point, that is the stage 0 of investigation, that is for high profile sensational cases. And apart from that, any other suggestions here? Because we don't want to get into cases per se. Shastriji, for example, when he came back, when he was brought back, when his body was brought back from Tashkent, I mean, there were bruise marks all over his body that turned blue. And case of Mr. Vikram Sarabhai, immediately before that important mission, suddenly that night in Kerala, hale and hearty man suddenly dies. India's great scientists, Homi Bhabha, gone. I mean, these kind of things. Then we have these women who are women in the high circles, the high profile circles, who are prone to such kind of criminal tendencies and events from time to time. Sometimes they turn out to be very high profile cases because of the perpetrators, or the accomplices of the perpetrators who are involved. So there the CBI probably could get in from this scrap. But how do you answer the possibility of the CBI being also touted as politically influenced? Because then where do we go? Where does the buck stop in that case?
Actually, you see, Prakash Singh, once he was DGP Assam, and he became DGP Punjab also. and he fought the case in Supreme Court, and it took so many. In 1998, he filed the case, but in 2006, the judgment came finally. But even now, the judgment has been given. But even now, all the states have not complied to the Supreme Court guidelines, those 7 guidelines, Prakash Singh case guidelines. So we are living in a system where even even contempt case was also launched.
What was the 7 guidelines, if you could spell out, if you remember?
Yes, this Prakash Singh case actually, there were so many things that in that case actually in 1998, Prakash Singh and one more DGP, actually they filed a case in the Supreme Court saying that police should be made made independent in the sense that the DGP, there should not be any political interference. This case was filed in 1998, but you see that what you can say, judgment was pronounced in the year 2006. Even 2006, certain 7 guidelines were made, and accordingly, states were asked to, what you can say, asked to implement those guidelines. That is called Prakash Singh guidelines, actually. It is a very famous case. Then in 2006, these 7 directives were given. Then 2007, actually, Prakash Singh again filed a contempt case against some of the states who have not submitted any reply to this, actually. But even then, finally, the Supreme Court has constituted one monitoring committee in the year 2010. So 1998 case and 2010, in the Supreme Court I am talking about. So monitoring committee files its report in 2010, but after that, actually, we do not hear anything about. Notice has been issued to Madras, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, and West Bengal government for non-compliance of this judgment. But after that, we are not sure what has happened to the case, because these are the things which are available in the media. So so long as you are not able to make police independent of political influence, these things will go on.
But then an independent police machinery doesn't really augur so well, because again, they are also part of the society. And
yes, exactly. That I have understood. Actually, what you are trying to say, we are living in a system, in a parliamentary democracy, where we will have to work under the Home Minister. That is there. I fully agree to that. But what I mean to say, that transparency is the key to all these problems. Actually, whatever the cases which you have pointed out, had there been some transparency, if they have failed, even in that case also, they could have, if they have failed in that case also, they could have made it public why they have failed. So these are the problems. So in that case, so transparency is the key factor in these regards, I personally feel.
Timelines for these cases through fast track courts. What is your take on that?
Yeah, that is very important. But the problem is we are already facing shortage of judicial officers. Actually, that is why the Supreme Court is always there for requesting for appointment of judges. So when you constitute such a court, actually you will have to make manpower available to the court. But one good thing which I personally feel is very praiseworthy of the new Chief Justice of India is that he is trying to upgrade the IT sector in such a way that the judicial system, that means starting from investigation, prosecution, then trial, all these things he wants to bring to the same domain. Domain in the sense that actually they should be easily available for everyone to see. So if these things are there, such monitoring through artificial intelligence or other technical upgradation, if this can be done, then I personally feel that even the courts can also interfere in certain cases if the investigation is not proper. So basically, these are the things. I mean, I personally feel that this will help CBI to perform in a better way.
Is there no central national evidence collection or answerable department? I mean, something like a national department which is responsible. I'm sure there is nothing. I've never heard of it. Because I feel this evidence collection, which you pointed out right at the inception of this monologue today, you say that, and I also personally feel that this evidence collection and the maintaining the sanctity of the site of crime, site of investigation, is something which makes or break right at the beginning. So is there any independent agency which is there in place which takes care across the country? And otherwise, if something happens in a locality near my house, God forbid, or your house, God forbid, we are dependent on people who are running morning to night to make the two ends meet. The same society that we are part of, even they are the part of the same society at the OC level or the SI level or the ASI level or whatever you call it. I mean, whatever the terminologies are. I mean, the interrogation officer level, the evidence collection team, they are all very, very local level. I mean, people who are not always, generally they are not so well motivated or trained. I mean, those kind of gaps are there. So is there no central mechanism in place for immediately tapping into the site of crime?
Actually, regarding the central mechanism, I can say only about Assam, because I have experience here. In Assam, actually, if there is a very sensational case, immediately CID, the Criminal Investigation Department, they are also informed and they also go to the scene of crime along with the district police where the incident has taken place. And they try this initial investigation stage also, they are there. So basically, and they try to, if it is a very sensational case, they try to videograph the entire
it's the
scene.
same, Pallabji. Pallabji, it's the CID is again the state local CID department. It's not the, I mean, CID is what, the Central Investigation Department?
The Central Investigation Department is not there. Actually, basically, we all come under the Home Ministry. So Home Ministry guides everything. So CBI, they go,
So what is
CBI,
the CID? It is under the Home Ministry or under the local police?
No, CID is for Assam. I mean, state. I'm talking about CID about state police. What I mean to say that if CBI has to come, I personally feel that actually they should be associated in sensational cases right from the beginning. Even if the state government does not give assent to take over the case, even then also that will be, they can always guide the state police.
I mean, a joint parliamentary committee meeting has to be convened for such things.
Yes.
I mean, this is just basically an eyewash to basically, make hay while the sun shines.
The joint parliamentary committee, yes, this can be another point. A joint parliamentary committee should be constituted because of these failed cases. We can always make a point for a joint parliamentary committee to study these and give their recommendations. That is a very important thing which you have told. Yes.
And the CBI's involvement is also dependent on such things only. Such kind of demands, and then media trials, they all sum up to finally the CBI to be called upon, and by that time the entire by the time the water has flown under the bridge. So none of these cases finally reach their logical conclusion, and they all lie in doldrums for years, and the process of allegations, counter allegations will start in every case, like we've seen in all the past cases. The Sunanda Pushkar case, for example, I mean, even till date, I'm not very sure as to what really happened that time. I mean, the very strong and
Now, the court has acquitted him. The court has not given any judgment against, Tharoor, Mr. Tharoor.
See, here we are not talking about the outcomes generally. Yes, the topic is unsolved cases. Basically, what it meant is, and you also understand, it is about cases, the high-profile sensational cases, which were under the kind of whatever glare, media glare, because of the sensational aspect and the individuals involved, and things looked very murky right from beginning. And to put it very undiplomatically, things were absolutely, messed up. And the entire process seems to be the same in all the cases where the CBI is later on called on. Evidence is all, kind of mismanaged. The site of, crime is completely gone for a toss by the time the CBI comes in. And then the charge sheets, if they're filed and the investigations are completed, the courts take their own course. We also have medical reports, forensic reports. I mean, all these things keep happening, but then the entire, the entire base is what makes all the difference. And the base is not decided by the media or by any agency. It is basically those 24 hours of the crime, as you pointed out, which makes all the difference. So, I mean, instead of getting into the nitty-gritties of each case, I feel that today in this monologue, we should conclude upon by understanding that CBI should be called upon right from the beginning. And in such cases, they should be taken up as examples for the society. And it will ensure that the confidence of the society in the state machinery doesn't get diluted because of vested interests, which generally are at play, or which 100% are at play in such high profile cases. I mean, suddenly a top actress jumps from the floor. And these are, sectors. And you also understand that these are few sectors, like which are the most glamorous sectors, which are prone to such kind of incidents the most, especially the film sector, the kind of sports sector. All these sectors are very glamorous sectors. So they should be, the journalism, the media sector also now, because a lot of journalists start getting, start getting the flack. We know about Ashish Dikshit. We've heard about so many things, so many journalists suddenly dying, suddenly being so-called killed or disappearing. Ashish Dikshit was a case in point, who, being a young, dynamic journalist, now we don't accuse him of depression, or we don't accuse him of suicide. So what happened to all these, great individuals? The country will keep wondering if this is what we keep following, sir, in the future also. And the system is the same for everybody, for me and you, and as well as the high profile people. It's the same for all of us. And once that the entire thing goes out of hand, then the judgments of the courts, which you just now told about Sunanda Pushkar, he was acquitted. I'm sure he was acquitted because the court found it and everything was good. But at the end of the day, was it all good when it started? I doubt that. It wasn't really that good when it started. It all ends very good, but unfortunately, the problem is at the start. The start has always been shaky and questionable, and that is what Pallab Bhattacharya ji, through you, we are also able to conclude that the start has to be solid. It has to be foolproof. If there is a gap in that, the entire process is just a sham. And we do not want this to happen for the next 25 years, so that India should not be known as an anarchy, as a lawless country, as a banana republic. Thank you so much, sir. Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Look forward to
Thank
meeting you again.
you. Okay, thank you.